listeners, you're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth. Welcome, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and with Corey. And Unlocking Your Truth.
Hello, everybody.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality, and we broadcast every week from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation on 101.7 FM from CIVL. The show is also out on all the major podcasting platforms, and you can catch our previous episodes by going to drlesleyphillips.com. Well, welcome everybody, and as usual, we have a fabulous show in store for you today. One of the things that we've been doing of late is sharing some channeled messages, and that's what we're going to do this evening. We're going to share with you some channeled messages, and these are messages from actually about a year ago, last August, but they stand the test of time. They're kind of very relevant still, and so that is what I'm going to do, and I hope you enjoy them.
Yes, and as a quick reminder for those people who don't know why you are sharing past channelings as opposed to channeling directly online at this point in time.
Well, I have to go into a very deep trance in order to do this work, and going into trance is a relatively vulnerable position, and so I just prefer to do it this way.
That's good. I thought everybody should know that.
Yeah.
How long have you been channeling, Dr. Lesley?
What's your definition of channeling?
That depends on what you want to use as a definition of channeling.
Well, we've all been channeling all of our lives, because each and every one of us channels our own energy. And I've been doing readings for about 25 years at least, and that involves going into a trance state and is also a form of channeling information. And I have been communicating with spirit guides and angels and ascended masters for just about the same length of time as that. These messages that we've been sharing of late are a little bit of a different angle on it, though. So they're more like universal messages for, they're more like general universal teachings. Maybe we can think of them that way.
Not specifically for you, but for everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
Those are good messages. I like those messages.
Well, I hope
that's like some of the mainstream people out there, like Esther Hicks and those people, eh?
A little bit. Yeah. Okay. So would you like me to share the first one? These are both from the same day, actually. In fact, they're actually part of the same message, but I split them into two because it seemed to change the subject partway through.
Versatile.
Well, so the first one, I've called it Creative Universe, but I've spelt it Creative Universe. With a capital U. I don't know why, that just seemed like the most appropriate name for it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, yeah. And so this is what the message is. Just talking about source energy, basically. So the source is the creative source, the source of all creativity. All artists, poets, writers, inventors, socialists, all of your ists come from the one high, true creative source of all. That is not to say that your creative spark is not your own, for it is. You experience it as your own. It fills you with excitement, a drive, a thrill, a passion. That is the creative source in action. When you feel that way, you are channeling source energy. What is source? Source is creator energy. You are creator energy. And then there's a quote made in his name, eternally creative consciousness. You asked to talk about the human race. We will talk to you about the human race. First of all, though, it's not a race. Everything comes in its own good time, and it is time. The divine imprint is upon you, is within you, is unraveling, is present within your being. It animates your every thought, your every action. God's light, source energy. Creator light within you, illuminating your mind, your thoughts, your actions. Each one of you has this, and the degree to which you do or do not attune to it is related to the degree to which you are conscious or unconscious, awakened or unawakened, clear or unclear, pure or unpure, in alignment or out of alignment. You all have this, and you are invited, more than invited. You are, the mantle of unconsciousness is being discarded. You are being disrobed. You are being made naked again, as in your Garden of Eden story. Adam and Eve were in the garden of knowledge, and they ate from the apple, and they went unconscious and became ignorant and covered themselves in a mantle of unconsciousness. It's time to take off the fig leaf. It's happening slowly, but surely in your time frame. From our perspective, we see it has happened. This happening has happened all at once, the whole divine experience. For you are divine, you are love, you are light, and we love you. We love you dearly. Then they showed me an image like the Vitruvian Man, which is an image of a man and a five-pointed star with mathematical formulae and other images, atoms, molecules, time clocks ticking, models of the solar system, etc. Many historical characters, Leonardo da Vinci, Henry VIII, Rembrandt, Anne Boleyn, Lincoln, on and on and on in this big sequence. And I said, well, why are you showing me these pictures? So you will understand. Understand what? We want you to understand that we're always here. We always have been here. We always will be here. We are available 24/7 to each and every one of the billions of people alive on the planet today. Creativity, inspiration, a drive for the betterment of the species, it's inbuilt to the system, and we are just as much a part of the system as you are. There's so much creative energy. Every single one of you can drink deeply from the well, deeply from the cup, and never run out. The creative source of the universe is beaming directly at you, into your home 24 hours a day, bubbling up from within you, surrounding you, embracing you, loving you, stimulating you. You can't escape it. It is you. You are a part of it. You are sons and daughters of the creative source, made in the image of divine creative source. Creator beings with free will to choose how you will create, what you will create, and when you will create it. Everything you think, say, or do is you creating. That's you creating something, creating through thought, creating through action, creating a communication. You can't escape being creative. Even when you're not being creative, actually you are. The very act of your existence is a creation. Create, create, create. That's you. Creative, creative, creative. That's you. And that's your earth walk, your earth journey to create, and then to see the results of your creation. To create and have what you created reflected back at you, and to decide, yes, I like this, or no, I don't. And then make another choice, and on it goes. Your life journey is a bit like a tree or a tapestry that you create as you live it. You tend to think of a creation as an object, a painting, a book. But your life is a creation, and it has a shape and it has a form and it has an energy about it that is expressed. And if you could see it from our perspective, you'd be amazed. It's like a magnificent play where there is a beauty, a richness with contrasts, ups and downs, and drama. And it is your creation. Think of a play. Your life is like a play in some ways. Actually, in a lot of ways, it's like the play of you, and you are the actor, and you are the playwright, and you are the audience. And depending on how awake or aware you are like the actor who hasn't realized they are in the play at all, or you are the conscious creator like the playwright, and you're the one enjoying the show and having fun, whether it's an up or down experience. And then that was the first part of that channeled message. And there is a second part. Would you like to hear the second part now, Corey?
Oh, I have a couple of questions first.
Okay, great.
Okay. The first question is, how do you create the light within you that's being talked about in the first part?
Well, you are that light. It is that is the eternal I am presence. That is the spark of divine consciousness. That is the aspect of divine source that you are, a spark of light.
Yeah, but I presume some of our lights are a little less than other people's. How do you fan that flame, that light?
Okay, so you're asking not how do you create the light, but how do you, as a human being, all the way here in the denseness of physical reality, where often we feel separate from the light that we are, how do you realize the light that you are in this density?
Yeah, I know in the Bible it says uncover, take the bushel off of the light so that it can be seen from the hilltop. So basically, yeah.
Yeah, so how do you do that? You anchor your light through your physical system, through your energetic system here on earth by grounding. You ground that high vibration energy that's you here, and then you release everything that is out of alignment with that, everything that is not that. So that is how you, to put it in your words, fan the flames. That is how you realize yourself as the bright spark of divine consciousness that you are. Grounding, being present, being here and now. Does that make sense to you, Corey?
It makes sense, I guess. Yes.
Okay, do you have another question?
Yes, I have another question.
Okay.
Okay, so how do you remove your fig leaf? And it's basically along the same lines. How do you remove your fig leaf to uncover or to expand your consciousness?
Okay, so let's see what this fig leaf is an analogy for. So again, the short answer is grounding. So remember, in the answer to the first question, I said that you anchor your light and you clear and let go of anything that is not that light. And so the fig leaf is the illusion of that which you are not. So you are not your beliefs, you are not your monkey mind, you are not your emotions, you are not your trauma, you are not your scars, you are not your pain. There are many things that humans identify with, which is not who they are. And many of the things that they identify with are of a very low vibration. And going into that density creates a shield or a veil of separation. And so by grounding or using other energy techniques, you can move yourself back into alignment and clear what is in between you and the light that you are. The fig leaf is in between you and the light that you are. The metaphorical fig leaf.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So one more question.
Yeah.
So how do you create, or how do you control what you create?
By managing your vibration. So then, as an extension of what we were just saying, you basically do create your reality. And many people are doing that reality creation unconsciously. So if you are, but you can do it consciously. And how? By grounding and by managing your energy, so that your energy is in alignment with your higher being, and so that your energy is is basically allowing for a reflection of what you're wanting to be reflected back at you. So it's like being that which you wish to create, being the vibration of that which you wish to create. So that happening unconsciously, but you can have it happen consciously.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, Dr. Lesley, I think we need to create a couple of messages.
That sounds really good. Well, listeners, you're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and Corey. Tonight's show is we're sharing some channeled messages and we're discussing them, and we're opening up to your questions as well. And we will be back after these messages. Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and Corey.
Hello.
And tonight's show, which is all about channeled messages.
Yes,
and
it is.
We've got part 2, which was actually part 2 of the same message, although we've given it a different title. Segment on time.
Segment on time?
Yeah, it's just a segment on time, a little bit of a segment added on the end about time.
Oh, about time, about actual time.
Yes, time, the experience of time.
Not being prompt, but just about the whole aspect of time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So let's talk about time. We want to talk about time.
Before
time.
you do that, you do that, where does, like, are these messages that are just given to you, or like, have you asked, how did these messages come to you? Like, are they, do you stimulate the topic? Do you request it in any way, shape, or form, or you just leave yourself in a state of openness?
I elevate my frequency very, very high, and it's kind of like tuning into a message that's already being broadcast. That's how I see it. And sometimes I've asked for a particular message of a particular type, and other times I've just seen what will come. please excuse me. I'm just going to continue talking, but I have to look out the window. I'm smelling smoke, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sometimes I have asked, because a lot of the messages when they were first coming through, they were very, very esoteric. And I was asking, well, I wanted to be more grounded in human experience and more relatable to people. And so I directed them that way a little bit at one point. So, I mean, I think, you know, you can either see what drops in or go out searching for something. Either way works.
So if you go out, I see a little bit of a difference here. If you go out asking for a specific question, an answer to a specific question, or if you just leave yourself open to a message from a specific spirit, whereas asking for a specific question, you may get just your spirit guide or just some form of direction from a specific spirit for your answering.
If I want to talk to a specific guide that I know, then I do that, just like I decide I'm talking to you. So I don't exactly know what you're asking.
But that's different. That's different than leaving yourself open to receive a message from anywhere within the spiritual universe.
Well, so I'm not opening up. I'm basically traveling towards divine source, on a trajectory towards divine source in vibrational frequency, so that I am directing it in such a way that I am only talking to the highest and, you know, greatest beings of light. So to get technical with you, one could open one's crown chakra really wide and be open to all and sundry and not be discerning, or one could be directed to keep it safe and in alignment with what is the highest level of information, which is what I'm doing here.
Because it looks like to me, and I know I get in touch with my guides on a regular basis, in a sense, but I don't think I've ever really necessarily or knowingly channeled information from another source without having a specific topic or question in mind. And it seems to me that they're similar, but there is a difference here.
Yeah, vibrationally it's very different. Like I said, it's a really, 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 really high vibration. I don't really know what you're asking or what you're not quite understanding.
Well, just trying to clarify the difference between channeling a message that you're sharing with us and getting an answer to a specific question from your guides. Like, both are considered channeling.
Yeah. So if I want to, so we're getting very technical here to answer this. So let's say I'm doing a reading for somebody and I consult my guide. I'm at an energy level that is relevant to the person that I'm talking to. And that ensures that the information I give is relatable to that person and is very specific to that person. And I set the energy level to just be slightly ahead of each person that I talk to in that way. Or even if I'm talking to a group, to be just slightly ahead, just to lead everyone a step ahead from where they are. With these messages, I'm just going super high to see what happens and what comes through.
Okay.
It's
So
a much
there is a
higher
bit of,
vibration. It's a much higher vibration than I ordinarily might be working at.
yeah, so there is a bit of a difference. What I'm saying is if you're going to be trying to get in touch with one of your spirit guides, you're not going to get one of these archangels contacting you with this heavy duty message
I
necessarily.
might. I mean, I get Archangel Michael all the time coming into sessions.
Yeah. Anyway, once you start on the second section, then people can start sending me your questions, so I can ask you as well.
Okay, well, this one is called Segment on Time. And then they just said at the end of the last one, well, let's talk about time. We want to talk about time. Time is relative to the perceiver. Time is not absolute. You exist in time. And you perceive, but you perceive the time. As the perceiver of the time, you can bend time. How? Alter your perception of the time. You can stretch a second to last forever, and you can make a day last in the blink of an eye. Your experience of time is based purely on your perception. When you are very present, when you are in the now, you can increase the depth of your perception infinitely in that moment. The more acutely present you are, the more deeply in the moment you are, the greater the depth of experience you perceive or receive from that moment. That moment may feel to you like a long time because of your depth of perception from which you are experiencing the moment. When you are less present with the moment, time appears to speed up. And it can disappear in a wisp of smoke because you have a shallow depth of perception you have focused away from. You have not been so present. And then time. There is a fluidity to time. You can all be present. Many of you can be present at the same event and each perceive it differently based on your depth of perception, the acuity or degree to which you are conscious. You have a time, no, you have a saying, time is an illusion. Time is not an illusion to you, it's a rule. It's a quality of your physical reality, and you embedded yourself within this dimension of time from free will. It's a choice. It gives you certain qualities of experience that you thought would be exciting. Without time, there would be no cause and effect. You could not cause something to happen. You could not see the effect of what you caused. You could not say something and see the response in another person's face. You could not hit a cricket ball and get a run for 6. There would be no cause and effect. It's fun. It's part of the game that you have chosen to have this cause and effect. Without time, you could not have free will in the form you have it. You could not have choices in the way you have it. In one moment, you can't have it all, so you must choose this or that. So time gives you, or from time we might say, from time stems many of the other aspects of your existence: free will, cause and effect, the ability to experience your life in a linear way, where one moment leads to the next, seemingly. From our perspective, or from another perspective, all that life exists as one magnificent creation, with all the choices, all the causes, and all the results showing up as part of the design within the magnificent tapestry. And beautiful, beautiful work that you do. A stitch here, a stitch there. And I think I had to stop the channeling for some reason, so that's where it ends.
Telephone rang.
I don't know, maybe the telephone rang, door went, something.
Or I came crashing down the stairs or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So you mentioned how time a cause and effect are related to time, and that one doesn't happen with the other one. So how, I'm try to ask this question
Well,
properly. I know
I think what it meant was, you can't, if you don't have time, you can't perceive cause and effect, because they're not separate. If there's no time, they're simultaneous, right? You can't conceive of cause and effect without time. You can't have the choice and then the result.
And I presume time is universal. I don't mean like our hour is the same hour as Mars or everything, but I mean that all of the universe, that as we know it, is working under the same rule of time and cause and effect.
Well, that's a good question. And of course, I'm not in trance now, channeling the ones that I was talking to when I channeled that. But I think that they're, you know, within our, yeah, you're interviewing I'm not the person who gave that information, Corey.
I know, but I'm asking you, to Dr. Lesley.
Oh, well, give me a moment. So you're asking, is
that
apply to the whole of our universe? Well, the answer I get is, to some degree, it depends on what you're defining as our universe. But if you're talking about mechanistically, as in physical localizations of reality, as opposed to higher dimensional aspects in our universe, I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
But there are many beings that are having different experiences than that, because it's not all just physical. But I think in the way that you're meaning the question, the answer is yes.
It's the same as the concept. We do have another question from Nate, which we might put into the next section, as opposed to try and give too speedy an answer. But it's the same. It's the same as the concept of God, quote unquote. Many people think of God as having created the universe that we live in, and created us specifically. Now, people think also talk about life on other planets as well. And so if God created the universe and everything in it, then God would have created these creatures as well, or beings or civilizations or whatever. And there would be that the same concepts would hold true for them as do for us in that sense. And so I would presume.
Okay, let me give you an example. Okay. Here's an example of a group of beings that exist within our universe, who have evolved beyond time. So time is not the defining thing for them. And the way that their world works is based on synchronicity. So rather than time, like we say, I'll meet you on Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the coffee shop. Okay, they don't do that. They basically find themselves together based on synchronicity and resonance, not based on arrangements through time. And they trust that they just end up where they need to be, and to use a time term, when they need to be there. It's based on synchronicity. It's not based on time. So actually, I think that so then perhaps the answer to your question is actually no. There are other ways of navigating reality that are not based on time that do exist in our universe. And one that we can perhaps understand with our human minds is one that's synchronicity based.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, yet all of our planets and solar systems and galaxies are all working, that we can see, are all working in the same scientific facet. The planets revolve around their suns, and their moons revolve around their planets, and and there's a specific time that each of these planets go around the sun. So I would presume that if you're living somewhere on a planet other than us, that there is a determination of time as well. But anyway,
that's what
it's
you
time.
assume. That's what you
Yeah,
assume. And I think that that's not always the case, actually. All right, let's go to a break.
that's correct. How did you know?
It's time. Welcome back, listeners, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and Corey, having a delightful conversation about creativity and time. Basically, how we create our reality on this planet, actually. We shared a couple of channelings at the beginning, and that's really what they were about, that we are creator beings and we create through time and space in a reality paradigm that's based on cause and effect.
And if you missed those channelings, you can get them next week on the website, or in a few weeks on the radio show itself. So you can get those, listen to them. Actually, they're very good, very interesting. I enjoyed those. So we have a question from Nate. Nate says, I've been hearing lately in the spiritual community that we should expect time to feel like it's speeding up in the coming months or years.
Well, don't you already feel like that, Nate? Don't you already feel like that? I know I do. I constantly have this feeling that a day is not as long as it used to be. Well, actually, I think that I don't know what the word is, but time, my experience of time isn't the same. And I'll try and describe it. So, for example, every week we meet on this show. And when we're meeting on this show, it's like we're in this continuous reality of this show. And yet there is what we call a week in between each one. And so, you know, I have some regular things I do like this show. And when I'm in it, I'm in it. Like that's my total reality. And then I notice also for the week, the time that's passed in between, there's been a lot of content. So sometimes it feels like years or months. Like I have a regular group of gals I meet every Wednesday, and sometimes it feels like months have gone past in between because the content of our existence has sped up. How much energy and things that we're processing has sped up. The vibration has sped up. And so I think you may already perhaps be finding that time is different. I've also had the experience of consciously, you know, they were saying in one of those channelings, you can make a second feel like an eternity, or you could make a day feel like a second. And I've definitely had that experience as well. There was a time in my life where I had to travel from Vancouver to Seattle every 2 weeks. And I had to be in Seattle, I think at 9:30 a.m., which meant I had to leave super early on a Saturday morning after a busy week's work. And sometimes I just would not and could not get up on time. But no matter what time I left my house, I always got there exactly when I needed to. And sometimes I left my house at a point in time when there was literally not enough time to get there. But I always did. So go figure.
No, that's happened to me as well. I've had instances where I've traveled, and I just remember once I had a job interview. I was out in Chilliwack. No, I was here actually in Mission. I was in Mission, and I had to get downtown Vancouver, which is at least a 45-minute drive on if everything's going perfectly well and quickly. And I had basically 35 minutes to do it, and got stuck in traffic and got there on time. It was very interesting.
Yeah, so thanks for the question, Nate. Let us know, is your experience of time shifting? I mean, here's the thing, isn't it? It's hard for us to tell because, so here we are in time, living in time, and we're younger, and then we're getting older. And so, you know, you can go, well, time just does seem to speed up when you get older, doesn't it? But you can't you can't really separate that idea of your progression in time from the way that time is actually feeling to you.
Oh, I didn't realize you had finished, Dr. Lesley. The
Sure.
internet froze
I
up.
didn't. Oh, the internet froze up. Oh, I was going to say, I didn't realize I'd finished either.
Just slightly.
Yeah.
I was saying that I had the same experience once for a job interview. I had to go downtown Vancouver, and I was in Mission, and it's at least a 45-minute drive downtown on a really good traffic situation. And I basically didn't have enough time to get there, but I got there on time. Actually, I got there early. I had about 35 minutes to go, and I got stuck in traffic, and I still got there early. It was quite an experience.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
and I asked you one, but you didn't hear it.
I did. Nate's question. Oh, you asked another one. Yeah. And I didn't hear it. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't hear it. That's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, this is from Michelle. Michelle said, would a different universe have a different structure than ours, like magnetics are different than another universe or plane?
Could do. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to be more specific, Dr. Lesley.
Will I? So read a question again.
Since this is a 1-hour show. Would a different universe have a different structure than ours, like magnetics are different in another universe or plane?
Yes. So let's see if we can give you an example. I've visited planes of reality that are based on geometry, for example. Geometric shapes. Or let's see, can we think of another example? See, the trouble with that question is the answer is yes. And really, there's no limit, like it's limitless. Imagine it, and so it is, you know? Awkward silence on the radio.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were finished and I had lost you again.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Just remember, Dr. Lesley, this is a 1-hour show. We have to speak. 2-word answers aren't very explicit. So here's a question from SG. Hello, on a past reading, I don't remember the question, but you had told me one of my issues was that my sexuality is not my own. What does that mean? Does it have to do with sacral chakra?
Okay. Well, one comment I'll just make, SG, is that when I give readings, I don't retain the information forever. or even at all, because I'm actually just literally channeling and reflecting your information back at you. So I have no recollection of the previous question or what I told you, but you're saying that I told you, read it again, Corey.
Okay. Hello. On a past reading, I don't remember the question, but you have told me one of my issues was this, that my sexuality is not my own. What does that mean? Does it have to do with the sacral chakra?
Okay, well, I have no idea what the question is or why I said that to you, but I will tune into you and see what comes up. But yeah, sexuality does have to do with the sacral chakra. But what does that? You can't remember the question, but what does the answer mean? Well, I'm just taking a look at your sacral chakra. Okay, well, I'll talk generally, and this is not what I'm reading in your energy, but sometimes, you know, when people are in an intimate relationship, for example, or even when somebody fancies you, it's possible that their energy gets in your space and that you're experiencing their feelings rather than yours. So that's one incidence where what you're asking about can happen. As just as an example. Your second chakra, SG, perhaps you can just give us a bit more of an expanded why you're interested in asking about this. I'm seeing some personal things that I don't know if you want me to talk about on the radio on a live show. And so, but I'll just give you a healing in your second chakra. How about that? How about I just give you a healing in your second chakra? Because I am seeing that it's the energy does look blocked and doesn't look like it's your own. And it does look like yeah. I'm just going to give you a healing, which means I'm quiet on the radio again, but I'm just going to run some energy through your second chakra and see. So I'm just seeing a lot of pictures, different ones, and it just like some of it looks like just, I mean, we're inundated, aren't we? We're inundated with from the media and images and movies and what ideas of what sexuality is. And I think sometimes it can leave people really not knowing themselves in that way. So I'm seeing some of that, and I'm seeing just some programming from all stages of your life, really. Just I'm seeing you not be in touch with what your genuine energy is on that level. And I think for more information, if you really want to dig deeper, a private session would probably be a better idea. How about that?
Okay. So let me ask you this question just as a break off from his question or from her question. Does the sacral chakra have to do with sexuality, or is it a different chakra?
Yes, it has to do with
Yeah.
emotions, sexuality, creativity. You can think of it as the human relational chakra in a way.
Okay, I have a question. Can anyone channel the archangels?
That's a good question. And I
Or
realized
do you have to have special credentials? Certified archangel channeler.
No, they are available to all of us. They're available to all of us. Now, depending on how you've got your system set up, you may or may not find it easy to tap into that. If your vibration is very, very low, then there can be a distance between your vibration and those higher vibrations. So part of being able to communicate as spirit is to reduce that vibrational gap. And you do that by healing yourself, by clearing the denser energies out of your space, and by raising your vibrational frequency. Because you cannot conceive anything that, all you can conceive is that which you are, right? So a vibration that you can encompass within you, you can be aware of it. But if you are not able to partake of that vibration, then you can't. So the answer is yes. That's available to everybody. And so if you want to be able to do that and it's not happening for you, then yourself, clear yourself, raise your vibrational frequency.
So just out of curiosity, I've never channeled an archangel. So if you're channeling an archangel, how do you know it's an archangel that you're channeling?
Well, I would say that part of it is experience in being able to be discerning about who and what it is that you're talking to. And in the case where I've done that, I've been able to recognize the vibration. And okay, so anything could come along and say, hi, I'm an archangel, right? And they may or may not be, right? So number one might be, well, that they announce who they are, but number two, it's down to you to be able to be discerning about that. And that comes partly with experience, but you could also, one little trick is to ask them over and over again if they are in the highest and greatest good and serve the light. And any being that is lying to you, after you've asked multiple times, it can't stay if it's been lying to you.
So it doesn't have to, the archangel doesn't have to show you their official archangel badge.
Well, they might
like
do. They might do. You might have a
like
private greeting, which is based on that. You could.
So what I mean, so they don't say, this is Archangel Michael speaking with you today.
They might.
Oh, they could. And so some of us might be communing with archangels and not even know it.
Well, I think oftentimes ideas are just dropped in. And you might think it's your own idea, but maybe you've been given some assistance to come up with it.
Interesting. Well, Dr. Lesley, that's the show for this week. Next week's show will be at the same time. And folks, the reason for this is Dr. Lesley is away and she's in a different time zone. So.
And I didn't really fancy getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning for the show. You wouldn't get a very good show probably. And as it is, it's 10 o'clock at night here where I am. So
quick question from Nate. Very quick question. It says, spiritual insight on how do you have any spiritual insight on how I get to where you are?
Well,
quick question.
Have you got my book, Intuition and Chakras?
Yes. Here's your book.
So
you talked about your struggle with confidence in the past.
Pardon?
He says you talked about struggle in your book. You talked about struggling with confidence in the past, and he resonated with it. So how does he get to where you are?
Okay. Oh, I don't remember that part of the book, but
Pretty much about.
yeah, I guess. Uh, you know, I used all the techniques that are in the book on a daily basis for years and years and years and years, and I've given thousands and thousands of readings and healings, and
Practice.
so part of it is practice and learning from what crops up along the way. And then you gain, you know, you get gaining a ton of experience, and then learning how to deal with all and sundry that might occur.
And listening to
So
every radio show that you do helps as well.
yeah, and I would also just say that, of course, you are you and I am me, and your journey is uniquely yours and mine is uniquely mine. And so live your life, ground, be you, do you.
And so, folks, we'll see you next week at 1 o'clock.
Bye, everyone. Oh, write in any suggestions for what you'd like us to talk about.
Okay, I'll do that.